Yeah, so I've actually I've been to your country,
Mm.
England and Scotland. I've seen some of these older buildings, and another thing I've noticed is, I think more so than England, Scotland, it has more wild areas, especially, I'd say it's generally more forested, although it still does have a lot of open areas, especially around the Highlands and stuff, where it's more of the heather type
Yeah,
of area.
yeah. Scotland was notorious for having no trees at all. Actually, 300
Mm-hmm.
years ago,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was virtually totally deforested.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few elements of the original Scots pine cover,
Mm-hmm.
Caledonian forest. It's called. There's only about 2% of it left. But it's only recently that Scotland has had that those trees that you saw or visit. Those are mostly American trees. They're things like Sitka spruce trees and Douglas fir, which over here planted because they grow well in our climate, which is similar to the Pacific Northwest. Um, the reason they were grown is that during the First World War, people realised that we didn't have enough wood, and that it, because of submarines sinking our ships to bring the wood, then we had a big crisis. And so, organization like the US Forestry Service, the Forestry Commission, in order to plant and grow more trees. And those are the ones that are coating Scotland. They grow quite well and they're quite useful.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that it's so windy here in Britain, particularly in Scotland, that and they grow on peaty soils, as they tend to blow over a lot more. So it's not been entirely successful, and we still get the majority of our timber in from Scandinavia, from North America, Canada, and I don't think we'll ever be in Britain self-sufficient for trees, just because our land, most of it, is too useful for farmland to allow people to grow that many trees on it.
Mm-hmm. So, why is it that they didn't use, native English or Scottish trees when they're planting them in Scotland?
Oh yeah, well
Like
the
the,
reason for that is that those American trees are faster growing. Softwood, those conifer trees are straighter, so they're ideal for modern forestry operations and for producing very straight grain bits of wood. They're not, uh, whereas our the trees that traditionally grow there are slow growing, bit bendy and curvy. They used to be useful when people went out and chose individual trees for particular purposes, but for a sort of factory farming of trees like people do now, it's those conifers um, are seen as better. British people don't actually like them; they hate them because they don't have many. They're not very good for our wildlife, and nowadays there are big campaigns to allow rewilding and for the native trees to return and to allow their seedlings to grow up naturally, and that's something that is starting to happen up in Scotland as well as in England.